Chief Provost, even though the administration's zero-tolerance policy that led to the separation of thousands of children from their parents ended last June, the Border Patrol continues to separate some children from adults who claim to be their parents or guardians. Can you explain the circumstances under which CBP will separate a child from a parent or legal guardian or someone claiming that relationship? And when you separate based on the lack of a parent or legal guardian relationship, do you classify that separation as a fraudulent family?
Thank you for the question, ma'am. Yes, there are certain circumstances where we do still have to separate families. And I want to be very clear, and you stated this too, that we have to, a family unit is defined by law for us as a parent or a legal guardian. We do have many children that are coming with either other siblings, some are coming with other siblings that are minors, aunts, uncles. By law, I cannot keep those individuals together, but that is not what is considered a fraudulent family. We have identified over 5,600, I think, in the Border Patrol, what we would call fraudulent families. When we are talking about someone like an aunt or uncle, it is only a fraudulent family if they initially claimed to be a parent, and then we determined that they were, let's say, for instance, an uncle or an aunt. We have numerous families that are coming, or family groups, not family units, but family groups that are coming where an aunt or an uncle may be with a niece or nephew. Those are not considered fraudulent. However, by law, I have to separate them because they do not meet by law a family unit. I can only keep children with a parent or a legal guardian by law.
Just to clarify, because this doesn't make sense to me at all. And in fact, have you reported to the people or person for whom you are, shall we say, complying with the law? This doesn't make any sense.
So the TVPRA and the Homeland Security Act have a definition of an unaccompanied unaccompanied child, and that is defines a UAC as a child who has no lawful immigration status in the United States, has not attained 18 years of age, and with respect to whom there is no parent or legal guardian in the United States, or no parent or legal guardian in the United States is available to provide care and physical custody. That is the Homeland Security Act. And in the Trafficking Victims Protection Reauthorization Act, it clearly states that the U.S. Border Patrol is required to transfer custody of a UAC to the care and custody of HHS. That is the only people that we can turn them over to.
Let me clarify.
Sure.
This is puzzling. The law dictates what is considered a family.
Yes.
It would concern me greatly if families were classified as fraudulent when the adult in question is an aunt, grandparent, or some other adult who is not a parent. Are these treated the same as other cases of fraud when there is truly no familiar relationship? You've been in this position how long?
I've been doing it permanently for approximately a year, but I have been in an acting capacity for another 18 months beyond that, so 2.5 years.
Now, you're saying that if a child is with an aunt or uncle, by law, you cannot keep them together, and you call it a fraudulent relationship?
By law,
did you ever complain or try to reform that? That makes absolutely no sense.
So if I may clarify, by law, I cannot keep them together, but that does not mean that we call them a fraudulent family. They're only a fraudulent family if the adult falsely claims that they are a parent and it is determined that they are not then a parent. So those are not a fraudulent family. However, by law, I have to treat then, let's say the adult is a single adult and the child is an unaccompanied child, and I have to transfer them over to Health and Human Services if they are not with a parent or a legal guardian.
Okay. Now, I want to get back to that because this really doesn't make sense. When you separate based on criminal background, Do you consider the severity of the crime or length of time since the criminal act occurred? What does a criminal background mean?
Well, it can mean various things, so we do, that is
Mean
one.
they crossed a red light?
No, not something like that. But if they have something that does not allow us to release them into the United States when it comes to their criminal history, that is going to impact our ability, and in those cases, we do have to separate a parent from a child. If we have to turn the parent over to, as well as serious medical conditions, we have done that. When something like that happens, we do our best to get the parent and the child back together, or we work with HHS depending upon how long someone has been in the hospital. But if they have a serious criminal record that leads to where we need to turn them over to ICE because of their criminal history, then we do separate those individuals.
Whether the child is 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old?
We put them into the hands of Health and Human Services, and then they do vetting on who an appropriate sponsor or if there is another family member in the United States to take them.
Now, I would just think in conclusion, because I've used my time, shouldn't the standard for separation always be whether the parent or the person is a threat to the child? If there's no threat, shouldn't there be no separation? Because you're talking about a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 4-year-old, isn't that correct?
Ma'am,
And if you believe that there's no threat to the child, shouldn't there be no separation?
the threat to the child is one of the things that we consider, but if you violate the law, and we have U.S. citizens who violate the law every day that are taken away from their children. I'm just explaining to you what the law states, and
Have
when
you ever tried to get that law changed or report to a superior that you're taking a 2- or 3-year-old away from an aunt or an uncle?
we have educated Congress in relation to, in briefings, in relation to what standards we have to go by based on the law. As you know, it's my job to enforce the laws that are on the books.
Thank you. I think we have work to do together.